This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org, and you're looking at Lake Shasta, or what once was Lake Shasta. It's so apocalyptic here, you can barely make out the sun in the sky. That's how much smoke is here. It's literally like the surface of Venus. The conditions are so horrific. Forest is absolutely bone dry. Fires burning on three sides of this particular location, some distance away, but the cloud smoke cover is absolutely relentless. The air quality is absolutely horrific. Almost no water in this lake left at all. And what you're looking at there is a dirt road that leads to what's left of the lake and where the so-called resort still exists. I'm going to travel that road now. Let's go to that resort and see just how desperate some Americans are to party until the last possible moment. They haul their expensive boats down this road. Let's go take a look. I felt compelled to show just how dry it is. This region's several hundred inches of rain short since 2007. Very few people want to talk about that or admit that. Where you see the tree line start, that's where the high water line is for the lake. You can see in front of me, the lake is empty. Again, where you look, everywhere you see where the land is bare, that was once underwater. Should be underwater. This time of year, the lake would be a little lower, but nothing like this. And in this region right here is where the resort, Lake Shasta Resort, should be and once was, but because the water level is so low, they've pushed the resort further and further down into the very basin of the lake in order to try to keep it going. Skies are filled with smoke, fires on three sides of our area here, and how many Americans are still completely focused on recreating any way they possibly can, even if it's in a mud hole. Again, everything you see, all this bare land, including the road I'm riding on, was once the bottom of the lake. Now all empty. I'm going to keep going until I reach where the Lake Shasta Resort now is. This is a boat ramp that's now high and dry. One of the ramps along the edge of the lake. And there's a road on that side that continues down toward the Lake Shasta Resort. And here you see cars even like this that really have not designed for this kind of a road. Cars making quite a bit of noise. Most Americans don't care. You see the sun is very dim in the sky because the skies are filled with smoke. Again, everything you see that's bare dirt was lake, should be lake, including the road I'm riding on, which has been built into the dry lake bed now. It's beaten to silt. You see the road is beaten down to what looks like flour because so many vehicles going over it, attempting to get into the mud hole that's left. And there you see the mud hole that's left right there. There's just a drive for Americans to recreate and pursue personal pleasure, even if the planet is imploding by the day. Football games and beer. And waving flags as if somehow that's all patriotic, the American way of life. Sorry, I don't buy it. I don't want to be a part of it. If that's what patriotism means today, I want nothing to do with it. Patriotism starts with the courage to face the truth and address very real and immediate challenges. Very few people are willing to do that. They simply want to be a part of one tribe or another, Democrat, Republican, left, right, conservative, liberal, and pretend if they just elect somebody to represent them, everything will be fine. There's your Lake Shasta Resort right there, in a mud hole. Again, every bit of bare dirt you see was underwater. The high water mark should be at the tree line. This road built into the lake bed so that degrading, no matter what. Forests around us, dead, dying by the day. Worst drought in at least 1,200 years based on paleo data. It is likely that it is far worse than that even, but official sources are not willing to disclose that. Lake bed behind me, sun barely shining through. The road is beaten into silt. It's like riding through a flower pit, so it's a little bit of care is needed here. So many vehicles riding over it. And there's what's left of Lake Shasta, the Lake Shasta Resort. And that seems to be what's pushed as some sort of virtue in America, overcoming diversity. If the lake ends up being a mud hole, you just build a road to the bottom of the mud hole and pretend nothing's wrong. Look how many people enjoying the mud hole. It's a matter of priorities, and the kind of priorities that we seem to have now in this country have led us to a very dark place. No regard for the environment on which all of our lives completely depend. No regard whatsoever. And even trying to introduce and share data, irrefutable data, on the reality of climate engineering operations. The vast majority don't want to hear it. They want to pretend nothing's wrong. They want to pretend if they just do what they're told and roll up their sleeve, everything will turn out fine. Standing near a drying out basin in Lake Shasta, drying, dying, warming, buzzards and the trees that are now exposed, lake bed all around. Water is extraordinarily warm and getting warmer. Not much left in Lake Shasta. But will that stop people from trying to pretend nothing is wrong and having fun until the brutal bitter end, and ignoring the wider horizon and pretending they have no part in what happens, in the outcome on our dying planet? This is what it's like, even in this location. Take a good look. A circus. It's a virtual circus. Partying on the Titanic. Not much more than a mud hole left in Lake Shasta. And the vast majority, I'm sad to say, again, pretending nothing's wrong, that somehow it'll magically all fix itself. The skies that are completely canopied with smoke, filthy air, again, buzzards flying in the background. Could barely make out the sun earlier. It looked like shining through the atmosphere of Venus. It's gone now. The smoke is too thick. It's not penetrating the smoke canopy anymore, but you have to drive, as I showed earlier, a considerable distance through dry lake bed to reach this last mud puddle. Plenty of new vehicles around, purchased perhaps with nothing down, no interest, no payments for 6 months, and still the attempt to recreate continues. Shasta County Resort here with houseboats, where you can rent a house on the water to motor off into some remaining corner of the mud hole, pretend nothing's wrong with the smoke-filled skies. How you doing, guys?
You live right now?
Just recording.
That's right.
Guys, stay safe, eh?
You too, guys.
Right, good. Certainly many good people that are just not aware of what's going on in the wider horizon, but what will it take, I would ask, to make them aware? What will it take? How bad does it have to get before there's some focus on addressing, take care of me, go, on addressing what's left of the planet's life support systems and what it will take to salvage those systems, while there's anything left to salvage. Our only goal, if you guys don't mind,
go for it.
Our only goal is to expose what intervening in the climate system without public knowledge or consent. Our site is geoengineeringwatch.org. How would you feel if you knew that governments around the globe had decided to intervene in the climate system without public knowledge, public consent, environmental impact report. How would that make you feel if you knew that was affecting precipitation cycles, hydrological cycle? Do you think
You're
that that's...
talking about like government, like controlling weather?
It's called geoengineering,
like
solar
We're
radiation.
geologists, so...
Yeah.
Are you? Have you heard the term
Yep.
Thank you for that background. It's helpful. I have a background in solar power. I work at Bechtel Power Corporation. My home is on the cover of the world's largest renewable energy magazine. I have solar, wind, and hydro. So that's what brought us onto this issue, was we were losing massive amount of solar PV uptake, because when you deflect the direct sunlight, you radically reduce solar PV output. So we can see on satellite imagery off the US West Coast the aerosol operations, which the stated purpose is to put light scattering particles into the sky to deflect some of the sun's incoming thermal radiation. But you disrupt the hydrological cycle, you affect the ozone layer.
Right.
But have you seen, or in the course of your profession, is there any dialogue about these programs other than their proposals?
There's no discussion. It's just a discussion about climate change in general,
Which-
not where it comes from. Well, I mean, the like industry.
Which certainly is we absolutely acknowledge. I mean, we've been horrible stewards of the planet. Where would you start? But our premise is that intentionally intervening in these operations is a leap in the wrong direction. That, you know, we should cease and desist with the damage being done and not add to it further by trying to mask the symptom with operations that are inflicting yet more damage. So that's our premise. We have Air Force people working with us now. We have former Forest Service, former Fish and Game. Have you ever heard that there's a federal gag order, an illegal federal gag order on National Weather Service and NOAA? You know who NOAA is. So our group we acquired a NOAA flying lab at extraordinary expense and difficulty, put top scientists in that aircraft and tested behind heavy aircraft at altitude and found exactly what we were looking for, climate engineering elements, which start with aluminum, by the way. So if you guys are geologists, you know that bioavailable aluminum is toxic to all life forms.
No, that's bad.
So we've done 70 lab tests in this region alone at the state certified lab. There's so much aluminum coming down in our precipitation. We've had single rain event tests with as high as 3,450 ppb of aluminum in a single rain event.
Are those not natural aerosols released by what we're just doing with companies and things like that?
Okay, great question. CARB, you know, CARB is the California Air Resources Board. They've studied the aerosols migrating from China, and aluminum is not amongst those aerosols. CARB cannot identify where those aerosols are coming from, and that is in fact a primary element in climate engineering patents. So why aluminum? Because aluminum has a high albedo, high reflectivity. So it's very effective for deflecting some of the incoming thermal energy, but the toxicological effects apparently not even considered. So we've tested soil pHs in this area, and then this is your guys' arena. I have the USDA baselines in my possession from the 40s and 30s down to the acre, and soil pHs in this region that were 5.4, 5.5, 5.6 naturally acidic soils are now 6.6 because of the pH of the rain now. Rain pH should be about 5.6 due to atmospheric carbon loading. We're seeing, in the tests that have the heavy amounts of aluminum, we're seeing 6.6, 6.8. So again, there's a very direct cause and effect, and we're trying desperately to introduce the issue to others. So anyway, I'm very grateful, you guys. I don't want to take up all your day, but thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Appreciate the information.
In a nutshell, though, as you two as professionals, it would not seem rational to you to intervene in climate systems without environmental impact reports, public disclosure. That would seem elemental, right?
Yeah, no, that seems like pretty basic.
Thank you for your time. Nice that a few people would take the time, especially two geologists, and take the time to listen, take data, and if everybody felt a sense of responsibility, we could put this issue on the radar. I feel a strong sense of responsibility for this gift that was given to us. It's being treated with unimaginable contempt by the human race. How does that look? Bottom of Lake Shasta. So long as we're here and standing, it's our obligation. It's not just an option, it's an obligation to fight, to defend and preserve what's still left of this miracle planet Earth. And it's web of life, its inhabitants, that absolutely don't deserve what the human race has done. And the vast majority feel that someone somewhere is taking care of making everything right again. It simply couldn't be further from the truth. Bottom line is, if we don't do something today, we're not going to have tomorrow. I know many don't want to try if they don't feel they can have a guaranteed happy ending. And that's unfortunate, because there's no guarantees in life on anything. But what is guaranteed, if we do our best to do our best, if we do what we know is right because it's right, not because of any guarantee of any specific outcome, then we're on the right track. If we can save any part of what once was here so that something might continue, that fight is worth every fiber of our being. Please help us to sound the alarm while it can still make a difference. Again, share credible data from a credible source. See the activist suggestions link on the homepage of geoengineeringwatch.org to learn more about how you can help, how you can make your voice heard in this most critical battle. This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org.